Hello everybody, welcome to part one of my May wrap-up. I actually read 11 books in May, which is really good for me, so I'm actually going to be splitting this video into two parts just so I can blabber on a little bit more about each book. So let's get started. The first book that I finished in the month of May was Up the Villa by W. Somerset Maugham. I think I read this in one or two sittings, it's only small. I think I started it on the evening and then finished it in the morning because I was just too tired. This book tells the story of Mary. Now, Mary is a young widow. She is beautiful and she sits on the top of the hills of Florence in her villa and she's kind of contemplating her marriage that was utterly disastrous. And there, she goes from there to then kind of doing an act of compassion, and that act of compassion turns into swift violence. It is quite strange and it's quite odd, but if you've read some more before, then you'll probably understand it and be used to things like this. Now, I liked it. I liked the premise of the story. I really liked the character of Mary, but there is a but. Although I liked it, I just when I say there's an act of compassion and then it went to swift violence, it was very swift, and I think that the change was so quick that I just didn't think it was that believable. So although I enjoyed it, I did give it 3 out of 5 stars, but it is still worth the read just to read Maugham's writing, because Maugham's writing is just phenomenal. The next book that I read, I've actually done a review of this already, and that is Mapp and Lucia by E.F. Benson. This feels like a century ago that I read this. If you haven't watched my video where I talked about this book in greater depth, then you missed out, because this book is brilliant. I adored this book. I really did. It was everything that I hoped it would be. We have these two women. We have Elizabeth Mapp, Emmeline Lucas. Now, Emmeline Lucas, known as Lucia, she is a woman from Risen, and she comes to Tilling to go to stay at Miss Mapp's house. And when she's there, these two women just, what we probably presume as kind of banter now. Back then it was always trying to be the better of each other and always be like the queen bee in society. It's just utterly hilarious. So yep, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, and as I said, I'll leave my review of it down in the description box below. I then picked up something that's probably a little bit strange for me on this channel, because I think I've only reviewed one of these before and I wasn't too keen on it, but it is Wonder Woman Volume 4 War, which obviously is a superhero comic book. Something that you might not know about me, besides my love of classics and history, I also quite like superheroes. What a geek. Wonder Woman is my favourite by far. I mean, I've read Supergirl, I've read Batgirl, and I've read Catwoman. And Catwoman kind of came close in the first couple of issues. I thought, oh yeah, this is really good. So it's they were like 4 out of 5 stars. But Wonder Woman for me has been 5 out of 5 stars all the way. I think she is awesome. If you don't know Wonder Woman, she is like half Amazonian princess, demigod. She's a daughter of Zeus, basically. And she kicks backside. She is awesome. And I love this. I know a lot of people say they're not the biggest fan of the art, but I actually really like the art. I think it's really cool. But it's just, obviously, it's just personal taste. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars, but not going to go into the storyline because obviously I don't want to ruin it for you. But if you're interested in Wonder Woman, then definitely go and check it out because she's amazing. And now for my 4th book, and my Agatha Christie Poirot of the month. I read Murder in Mesopotamia. I think now that I've read this, I think I have like 2 Poirots to read, and that's it. That's all of them, which is really scary. But Murder in Mesopotamia is basically about a dig in Iraq, and obviously a murder happens and Poirot investigates. But this book's a little different because it's not narrated by Captain Hastings, who narrated a lot of the early books and also is the narrator of the last book, and it's not in the third person. It's narrated by a woman called Amy, who is actually a nurse looking after someone in the dig. And because it was narrated by her, it kind of lost a bit of pizzazz. It lost something. So although it was fine, I liked it, but it was missing something. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, as opposed to the usual 4 or 5 they usually get. The next book that I picked up, I've also done a review of, and that is Jane and Prudence by Barbara Pym. I adored this book. Oh gosh, I loved it. This was brilliant. We have these 2 women, Jane and Prudence. Jane is the typical 1950s woman, perfect housewife. And then we have Prudence, who's kind of the woman that you think of when you think of the 60s. The very strong, independent woman with her own mind and likes men and likes her own freedom. So we've got these 2 different women, and it is just beautiful to see Jane try to matchmake her friend Prudence. I will leave my link for the review in the description bar below, so you can go and check it out further if you want to. But 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I'm going to show you in this video is The Marriage Game by Alison Weir. This is a beautiful cover and is the sequel to The Lady Elizabeth. Now, The Lady Elizabeth I gave 4 out of 5 stars too. I did enjoy it, but I felt like she made too many presumptions, and she put storylines in there that I didn't feel needed to be in there at all, because it's not fact, it's just, you know, you're jumping the gun there. But because she did it in that one, she had to continue it in this one, and that let her down. There was also a few other little things in there that I wasn't quite sure of. But if you are a fan of historical fiction, if you're wanting an absolute page turner, if you want something which is about the relationship between Elizabeth I and her favourite Robert Dudley, Earl of Leicester, then go for it, because that's what this book is all about. But if you're a massive history geek like myself, then you may be a little bit disappointed. So that's part 1 of my May wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this. I shall see you soon in part 2. Bye for now.